Consequently, the overall fiscal deficit on commitment basis was 1.1% of GDP, outperforming the target deficit of 2.1% of GDP. Also, the fiscal anchor, and that is the primary balance on commitment basis, recorded a surplus of 1.0% of GDP, reflecting a better outturn than the targeted surplus of 0.5% of GDP. The deficit was largely financed from domestic sources. At end July 2025, the total public debt stood at 40 asset quality and efficiency indicators. The industry's capital adequacy ratio, or the CAR, without regulatory reliefs, increased to 17.7%. In August 2025 from 10.2% in August. This notwithstanding, elevated credit risk remains a major concern going forward. And in the outlook, adherence to the recapitalization plans and full implementation of the bank's regulatory guidelines to lower NPLs will further enhance resilience of the banking sector. Now, on the external sector, the sector strengthened in the first 8 months of 2025, $1.1 billion US. Recorded during the same period in 2024. Paced import growth. The reserve position remains strong with our gross international reserves at $10.7 billion US. That is equivalent to 4.5 months of imports cover as at end August 2025, compared with $8.98 billion, which was equivalent to 4.0 months of imports cover as at end December 2024. In the outlook, the external sector is projected to broadly remain resilient, anchored on favorable commodity prices and improvement in remittance inflows. Now, on the back of the strong external sector performance and increased reserve accumulation, the cedi strengthened against the major trading currencies in the year to July 2025. Subsequently, the cedi came under some demand pressure, bringing the cumulative appreciation through 12th of September 2025 to 21.0% against the US dollar. And let me point out that the cedi remains among the strongest currencies globally. So given the current state of macroeconomic conditions, the view of the committee was that inflation will continue to ease in the medium-term target of 8 plus and minus 2% by the end of the fourth quarter. However, the possible upward review of utility tariffs could exert some price pressures in the medium term. Notwithstanding this, maintenance of an appropriate monetary policy stance to lower the monetary policy rate by 350 basis points to 21.5%. The committee will continue to monitor macroeconomic developments and take appropriate policy decisions as and when necessary to reinforce the disinflation process. Now, let me also announce an additional measure on the net open position limits for banks. The decision has been made for the single currency NOP limit, which has been plus and minus 5%, This has been revised to between 0% and minus 10%, which will be effective from the 1st of, and that meeting, as always, will conclude on 19th November 2025 with the announcement of a new policy decision. I thank you for your attention.
Right. Thank you very much, Governor Johnson Pandit Tesiama. If you just tuned in, this is a live broadcast of the 126th MPC press briefing taking place live here at the headquarters of the Bank of Ghana. This is the Bank Square. Just to remind you also that we're streaming live on NorvanReports, on Ghana Web, on Graphic, on GNA, the Business and Financial Times. Also, at the Bank of Ghana itself, we are streaming live on the Facebook page, our website, as well as the Bank of Ghana YouTube page. Mr. Governor, with your permission, let me quickly acknowledge the presence of our advisors who are here with us this afternoon. Mr. Franklin Belnier is an advisor here with us. Welcome, sir. Dr. John Kwache, please welcome both Texan. They are here with us this afternoon. Also, let me acknowledge the presence of the bank secretary, Ms. Sandra Thompson, and then also the head of banking supervision, Ishmael Adams. So we've got to make this very snappy. I must indicate that it's been a very long day for the members of the Monetary Policy Committee. So we're just going to do 2 rounds of questions, please. 2 rounds of questions. And so just let me see your hands up. I will acknowledge you. Mr. Governor, how many questions should I take for a round?
Maximum 5.
5 questions.
Yes.
Okay, so 10 questions in total. So we're going to do the first round. Toma, I see you.
Yeah.
Yeah, go ahead.
Good afternoon, Governor.
Good afternoon.
It's Tony from Corporate Guardian magazine. Please, I want to know what is the bank's stand on regulatory forbearance, which is for commercial banks, which was due to expire at the end of this year. Because I understand some state banks are due to be recapitalized next year. And there are 1 or 2 commercial banks which I know have some issues concerning capital adequacy in particular. So I want to know, is the Bank of Ghana going to extend regulatory forbearance to accommodate them into next year or not?
Thank you, Toma.
Thank you, Toban.
Yes, Bloomberg?
Thank you very much, Governor. Governor, we noticed
Yes.
Right, my name is Adnan Adams. I work for Economy Times newspaper.
Okay.
And news guide. My question would be on the non-interest based banking and finance. Actually, we were assured that by the end of the year, we'll be having a framework actually duly launched. So should we still expect the framework by the end of the year as we are in the fourth quarter?
Mm-hmm. Okay, thank you. 2 more questions for this round. 2 final questions.
All right, good afternoon. My name is Morris Ogbete. I work with GTV. So recently, the president said the cedi is being allowed to find its true value. So we've seen you withdrawn intervention. I just want to know, is it a common approach between the fiscal side and the monetary side? Also, we still hear businesses complain that they do not get dollars from the banks. They get so from the black market.
Name, please.
Give us your
Justice
first name.
Lee Adoboy.
Adoboy.
I work with the Channel State Media Shinhua News Agency.
Okay.
Yeah. So the president said that there was something that had been realized in more light on this issue for us. Thank you.
Thank you very much. That ends our first round of questions. Governor?
Yeah, so let me start with the last one first. Mr. Adobwe, yes, His Excellency, I'm sure the Minister of Finance will communicate the details to the public, and then we'll know what happens there. The committee will come clear when they are done. Then Morris, you're asking about the CD being allowed to find its true value. Well, that is true. There is that it helps when it comes to adjustment to shocks, for the economy to adjust to certain shocks without necessarily losing reserves to try to contain it. The managed floating framework is still in place, and that is what we are using. It doesn't change at all. And so, yes, the CD will fluctuate. It will change by the minute. It will change by the moment. And it changes, in reaction to a number of variables. It may be short-term, it may be medium-term, it may be long-term. Several variables drive movements in the CD. We've always said it, that our objective is to ensure we don't have excessive volatility in the CD. But yes, you will see movement in the CD, all right, just that we don't want to see it excessively. So yes, the president put it right, that the CD will find its true value. Then you mentioned, Morris, that businesses were complaining that they cannot get dollars. I'm not sure if that is true. As of yesterday, I don't think there was a single demand for dollars from the banks that was not met. The head of financial markets is here, can confirm. We've been doing this for a number of weeks. And so I'm not sure. I don't think as of today, anybody out there will say that their bank is unable to secure financing for their imports. As we always say, it may be due to some documentation issues or other related issues, but we have to take them on case-by-case basis. We support the markets. The banks themselves also trade among themselves. And through all those channels, we are able to, fund imports. And that's what I can say about that. Then ECHO, drop in reserves. So first of all, you have to put it into context. A lot of accumulation. But also remember what we have done in the last 3 months. A number of lumpy payments to IPPs, bondholders, sovereign bondholders, that got their money out. These were legitimate, payments that we have to make. And so don't be surprised if you see some dip. But what is important is that the trend is upward. You just have to plot it and look upward. The trend is upward, so don't be bothered at all. Look at it in context. Don't just look at the last 3 months and then get alarmed. Somebody asked about non-interest banking. Yes, Professor Gachi is here. He's been doing an excellent job at it. We've done a lot of sensitization. They are almost to the end. I believe something is going to Parliament, and then thereafter we can get to the implementation phase. Whether we can see licensing of these by the end of the year, we are doing our best. Let's see what happens. As you are aware, Parliament is on recess, I guess. And so when they come back later in October or so, we'll take them and see how far we can go with that. But the commitment remains the same. We are pushing ahead with that effort. Then the last one, Toma, my good friend, the regulatory forbearance that, as you mentioned, we give them up to December 2025 this year. We are not there yet. And so when we get to December, we will reassess, the whole framework, and then we'll be good.
I will start with George.
Good afternoon, Mr. Governor. My name is George Rafe from Joy FM, Joy News. Governor, if I look at your economic data, they are quite strong, your reserve position. Why is the market not responding to this solid data? And again, I just want to find out from you that if you look at what has happened over the past 3 months, would you describe it as seasonal or a correction taking place in terms of the city's performance? Because with all these numbers, the market should be responding to it. Also, again, even in your recent data or your speech you read in the MPC, you talked about. Thank you.
Okay.
George, that was a smart one. You did 3 in 1. I'll go to Mustafa.
Good afternoon, Governor. My name is Suleiman Mustafa, graphic business. Governor, can you please update us on where we are with the launch of the regulatory framework for the virtual assets? Thank you.
Mustafa, you're done?
Yes, I'm done.
Okay. Oye, let me take you.
Hi, good afternoon. Anoya Ankrasema for Asante Radio. Mr. Governor, so last month, the central bank issued a notice to banks asking them not to supply forex to large corporations until they meet a certain deposit rule. I would like to know whether this is a temporary crisis management tool or it is
into this decision. We've seen slight volatility in the currency recently, and even some analysts said the last decision contributed to it. So I would like to know to what extent, did you take into account the stability of the currency going forward into this decision? Thank you.
Thank you very much. I'm going to do... Yeah, that's just one lady. You're all gentlemen. If I got another lady, I'll be excited about it. No more lady?
My name is Emmanuel Bruce from Reuters. Inflation for August was 11.5%. I want to find out, what does this mean for your outlook for the year, considering that it's lower than your end year target of 11.9%? Are you going to...
The inflows that is out of the way. We know that from the beginning of the year, it fluctuates. But to attribute it to maybe the CD's performance, I'm not sure, per your reading of the data, whether there is anything strange with the inflows you are getting from remittances. I just need that clarity. Thank you.
All right, thank you. Mustafa wanted to lure me with a final question, but I'm afraid we've got to go. Mr. Governor.
We can take maybe another round. Don't worry.
Okay, the governor is too kind. He says we can go for another round.
Yes.
But that is after he's answered these questions. Thank you.
Yes. So again, the last one first, High Street Journal, about remittances. Well, the banks have, they have confirmed that they've observed a decline, in terms of remittance inflows. And so, yes, the evidence is there. Formerly, they were getting more of these inflows, which they were using to support imports. And so earlier in the year, there was quite, a substantial amount of interbank trading. And when that happens, the central bank wouldn't have to support the market that much. Suddenly, the flows have reduced. And so, yes, the evidence is there. But we are working on it. Remember, we introduced a number of measures about a month or so ago. We are beginning to see the dividends from those measures that we have announced. We are beginning to see some of the IMTOs, beginning to, reroute those flows back into the country. And our desire is to see greater levels of interbank market appreciation of the CD may have played a role. Yes, it could have. Yes, it could have. But what's important is that we've taken a number of measures to bring back those flows into the economy. Then the end-year inflation target, yes, we are confident, barring any new shocks, that end-year inflation will certainly fall within the target band. Whether we are revising the end-year target, no, that decision hasn't been taken as yet. What is important is that we achieve that medium-term, target, and then we are able to stay within that target. So we haven't revised the end-year figure for inflation. Then the next question was on the stability of the CD, whether this was considered, by the MPC in reaching this decision. Yes, very much so. If you read the statement, we spoke about, strong was kept appropriate. And so we did not see the negative impacts you would want to see in terms of liquidity injection, etc. That same effort is going to be deployed, even with this decision. And so stability of the CD shouldn't be a problem, regardless of the decision that we have made. Remember that also that the cocoa season is just kicking off. And so we envisage inflows of cocoa. We are beginning to see a pickup in gold exports. And so a combination of these will certainly come in and help to keep the CD stable. Then, Nana, from Asasi Radio, you were asking about those FX measures that was announced to suspend FX withdrawals by the large corporates. For now, it is a permanent measure. We observed that there were certain practices where some of these large corporates who really do not need FX cash, locally, were withdrawing such sums, and then those sums were ending up, elsewhere. And so we met with the banks. I mean, these things are done upon consultations. We met with the banks, we discussed it, and we came to the conclusion that for the large corporates, we can suspend those direct withdrawals. However, if it is FX that they deposited themselves, cash, into those accounts, it's their own money. So they are entitled to it without charge. Then the virtual assets bill, Suleiman, you asked about it. Yes, we've done a lot of work on the bill. The bill is ready. It's now at the Attorney General's department. On course with that. Now, the gold hedging program, the head of financial markets department is here. We are on course with that as well. You know, these things take a lot of discussions. You have to look at a number of calibrations. We've gone through all that. We are in the final stages now, and I'm sure very, very soon that risk management tool will be finalized. Then again, George, you were asking why the markets are not responding to the data that we have. That's my point, exactly the point I always make. The last 7 years, don't just look at, the last 7 months and then, you go into a frenzy. Look at the data over the last 7 years. You could see clearly that even if you look at it over the past 1 year, the trend is upward. So if you see a little blip, it doesn't mean things are getting out of hand. The trend is still upward. And as I've mentioned, we are entering the cocoa season. Gold is picking up, remittances, because of the Forex measures, the measures that we have announced, we are beginning to see a return of those inflows. So yes, we'll build up our reserves of Forex interbank market trading. And so all those measures are very much intended to contain the pressure on the cedi, notwithstanding the fact that we lowered the policy rate. So I encourage all of you, the media, please make use of our data. That should inform you on what is happening in the economy, whether there should be a pressure on the cedi. If you ask me, there's really no reason why anybody, should be anxious about the cedi. Like I said, as of yesterday, every import demand that any of the 23 banks, submitted to us as of yesterday was met. And we'll be meeting the anxiety coming from. It's the anxiety coming from. We have enough reserves to support. Going forward. Now, I think that is the last one. We can take one more session before we go.
All right. So if you just tuned in from wherever you are, this is the 126th MPC press briefing taking place at the Bank Square. We are streaming live on Facebook, the Bank of Ghana Facebook page, on the Bank of Ghana website as well as our YouTube. 50 basis points to 21.5%. So we'll take a very final round of questions. Mustafa, you wanted to do a follow-up?
No, I was going to ask about offshore inflows.
Do a follow-up.
No, I was going to ask about offshore inflows and the rationale behind the 5% charge on forex withdrawals, but I think he has answered it.
He's answered that. Yes. Okay. My senior, Douna, let me take a question from you.
Thank you very much, Governor. I think recently some guidelines. For those of us in the media, people kept asking us, what exactly did they do? And we don't have answers for them. So if you can throw a bit of light on exactly what they did. What did they what did they do? What did they what did they do? How do we know that if we did the same thing, it's not wrong or it's right? That kind of thing. So if you can throw light on it for us, we'll be very.
I think your question is well noted. Thank you, Mr. Douna. Yeah, I've got another female here. Tell us which media house you represent.
So the name is Najat Biago. I'm with GBC. Governor, they said they can only give him $1,000, and he says he needs the money in dollars. So they said they are going to give him the cedi equivalent. And in fact, he was so furious that in as much as we are trying to stabilize the economy, situation is and what we should expect. Again, with regards to the documentation, when traders would have to import goods into the country, there are others who are saying they go to the black market because the sort of documentation required at the banks are so difficult for them to. Is there is some sort of education?
Is there anybody who's not asked a question? Okay, the gentleman there.
Tesla, sorry, Ghanaian time. So I want to find out from the governor, apart from how are you collaborating with the fiscal authorities to address them to ensure the stability of the city?
Come again. I'm not sure. I didn't get that.
I'm saying, apart from the upcoming utility adjustment, what other risk has the BOG identified which could affect the stability?
That's fine. Two final questions. Yes, I see all two of you that you haven't asked a question, so yeah, go ahead.
Governor, good afternoon. My name is Joshua with the Business and Financial Times. So listening to you with regards to the issue of data and the CD, that what the bank sees in dealing with this speculation on the market. All right, thank you.
Two final questions.
All right, so my name is Adnan Adams, and in terms of the pricing...
Which media house do you represent?
Economy Times.
Okay.
In terms of regulating or the ban on pricing and trading in dollars, just want to know how effective is the enforcement of the bank, and then also
attached to it. And if you juxtapose that with the forex bureaus who actually handle. Do you see whether Cocoa Board has been able to pay some of its deferred contract, especially the one that was done for the 2023-24? There was some reportage, but I want to get the accurate data from you. Help me, thank you.
All right, thank you very much. Mr. Governor, I don't know where you want to start from, but Dawuna was asking about the remitters guideline sanctions. You recently sanctioned a few remitters companies, and he was asking, he wanted better and further particulars on that.
Yes. On the breaches, etc. The breaches were quite several. Diversion of foreign exchange inflows, and I mentioned that. You know, when you take money, those dollars and pounds from our diaspora people, those monies are supposed to find their ways into the nostril balances of our banks, you know, banks operating here in Ghana, so that those flows end up doing what we call offshoring, when using it for other purposes. And so those found have been sanctioned. Others were also applying the wrong exchange rate, right? And those were breaching the rules, so they had to be sanctioned. There were others that also had settlements when it comes to every market and how it operates. Their license were issued to them on condition that they meet those very rules. And so when they breach them, all we have to do is to penalize them so that we bring them to order. And we think that so far, the measures we have announced is biting. We are coming up with some more. The idea is to, enhance efficiency within the FX market. So we will not renege on that at all. Now, the FX issue and withdrawals. So you notice that individuals can still withdraw from the banks. The notice we put out was only for the large, corporates like the BDCs. Individuals, you are at liberty. I mean, the thing is, even if you brought an inflow or someone sent you money from abroad, the physical cash itself. So if you go saying, no, don't give me CDs, I'll take dollars, you are in other words telling the bank that, can you import that cash and give to me? So that is why the bank charges you some commission. When the banks also come to us to withdraw cash, whereas they did not deposit the cash, we also charge them 5%. Why? Because the cash we give to them here, we had to import it, right? And it's expensive bringing those things into Ghana. So that is why we charge 5% just to defray the cost of the importation. So when you go, yours is to look at the exchange rate, and once you think that it makes sense, you can take your cedis. Nobody is at liberty to deduct anything. And if you are an individual, if you still want to pay the commission the bank is charging you and take your dollars, that's your liberty. But remember that the charges or commissions they make you pay is actually meant to the bank. Now, the documentations and the black market. Yes, it is true. In the black market, people do these transfers without documentation and what have you. But remember, that also comes with a risk. And there are people who suffer some losses there as well. So it's not as though that's a perfect substitute for the banks. We can understand why some people are attracted to it. Some don't want to pay taxes, and so they go down that route. But need the black market completely. But they are expected to be operating in the margins, small sums. Somebody wants to send $500 to the daughter at school somewhere through the Hawala or something. That's what we expect of them. But they are not expected to become the main, the mainstay when it comes to the FX market. So we are working on it. We believe that we'll get back to where we ought to be very soon. Someone mentioned the upside risks to inflation. We made mention of a number of them in our We are not sure yet the extent to which that will bite, but those are risks that the committee evaluated. However, on the balance, when you take it vis-a-vis the downside risks to inflation, the committee believes that the risks are balanced and that we are likely to see a continuation of the downward decline inflation going forward. Ban on trading in US dollars, how to enforce it. So it is about the law. The Foreign Exchange Act of 2006, makes it clear. The law courts, the companies that are allowed with the authority or the instruction that we give them. If you are not one of them, just quote in our CD, and it's as good as that. On our part, we'll do be losing. FX versus Forex Bureau, how we are fighting the black market. We are not fighting the black market. We think that, you start from first principles. With Excellency, the President said earlier, it is true that there are abuses. People are actually transferring money out, whereas no goods are coming. That data is there. And I'm sure with time, we'll put in measures. It's about visibility. If there's good visibility between us regulators, it shouldn't be possible for anybody to transfer money for you through the black market for any goods. Otherwise, when the goods come in, GRA is going to ask you, can you show me how you paid for this? And what are you going to say? So we are getting there. Once we install the visibility across regulators, I'm sure people will get back. One on Cocoa Board, whether they pay their contractors. Echo.
Forward sale contracts. They had these contracts and they also had delayed
T-bills and things that were held with you. And given that they are now turning on a better life, I'm asking whether those commitments have been paid.
Eko, I thought you would ask Coco about CEO first.
No, but you also should know, boss.
That there were some cocoa bills that matured. Was it last week? They paid, right? They did not default. So if at all, that should be a good sign. Quoting in US dollars without authority. Yes, you can inform us. You can inform us. Just send us a message, right? Any of us, send us a message and we'll look into it, right?
All right.
It is a crime. I mean, that's the basic thing. It's a crime just as any other crime. Yes.
All right. Thank you very much. Ladies and gentlemen, and on behalf of the... And then... Oh, okay. Are you going to clap for the governor? Yeah, it's been a really long day for the governor and the MPC team. It was supposed to be a very short briefing, but he allowed for further questions, so that's to his graciousness. Thank you, Mr. Governor. So we'll now wait for them to leave, and then the media can leave after. All right, the directors can also leave now, and then later the media can take leave of us.